ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula says his party is aiming for an outright victory in next year's elections. He made the comments following a meeting reviewing the party's 2019 election manifesto. For more on this and other issues, we are joined by the ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri. Mahlengi, thank you so much for joining us in studio this evening.
Thank you for having us, and good evening, and good evening to particularly your women viewers.
Thank you so much.
On this important month of August, we will remember the heroic sacrifices of women in South Africa and elsewhere. And we do trust that we will be able to shine a critical gaze on the challenges and accomplishments of our women across the land.
Absolutely. Let's start with Fikile Mbalula had a briefing today on the ANC 2019 election manifesto review campaign. And I just want to start there to understand, why are you saying the 2019 election manifesto review campaign? Explain to me what exactly that means, because we're talking about something that happened 4 years ago.
Well, this will really be one of the very new things, but it's a continuation of the culture of the ANC. One of the things that the ANC has been known for is opening itself up to the people of South Africa, what's and all, with all our challenges and with all our accomplishments. But we also want to tell our story, because we do believe that there's so many things to be shared about the stewardship of South Africa under the leadership of the ANC as the governing party. So we want to have an opportunity to talk about what it is that has been achieved in the last 5 years or so in relation to the various areas that have to do with delivering basic services to our people, in relation to things that have to do with improving and deepening democratic governance in across the different spheres of the state, and how the instrument of the state works to advance transformation for all, particularly the poorest of the poor, as we continually say, as the African National Congress. So if you like, we'll call it also an ongoing listening campaign, because the ANC has always really been emphatic about our listening approach. So we again, open ourselves up for that kind of conversation with our people. On the 2nd of September, rolling it down to different provinces, cascading it down to provinces, all the way to all of the 52 regions across the country. We're going to be speaking to our structures, not just our structures, but our communities, churches, Amakosi, and everybody else that cares and wants to hear the message of the ANC and has anxiety and pressure points about what it is that they believe has not changed in the last while. But
Mahlengi, the timing hereof, though, elections are coming next year.
Yes.
How different is this from electioneering, if I can use that phrase? Is this not to say to the people, elections are coming next year, let's try and fix this and that? How is that different from campaigning?
Well, I suppose that, of course, we are not going to shy away from the fact that we are a governing party. And there is a general election coming up in 2024.
Of course.
Naturally, any other party is going to be campaigning. But I think what sets us apart is our ability to open ourselves up as the African National Congress. That does set us apart. Our record does speak for itself. Secondly, if you look at the things we do lots of mobilization, we do lots of listening, we do lots of rendering ourselves vulnerable to hear society and voices in society. So part of it is actually to help us fashion our own manifesto come 2024, which is not something that you concoct in a boardroom, but is informed by what you're hearing on the ground about the things that the ANC should do better and the things where the ANC has failed.
But it's not too late, though, because that's my thing, Mahlengi, that is it not too late that now, only now, after 4 or 5 years, you're saying to the people, show us where we made mistake, let us fix them? The timing thereof is suspect. It's almost like you're doing this because there's elections next year. Why didn't you come to us last year, the year before that, to say, how can we help you solve the issue of water, of electricity, of potholes, of joblessness?
So to just speak about the issue of water, for example, let's use the case study of Hammanskraal in Tshwane. and countless other case studies, you would have seen that that wasn't an electioneering season. But the ANC has been on the ground in terms of attending to those challenges, working with municipalities, including municipalities that are led by the opposition. So I doubt that it could really be perceived as electioneering from that perspective. I'm just using the issue of water. There are countless other reasons that one can speak to. Sorting out what is known as dysfunctional municipalities, where the challenges of service delivery are serious. The ANC has been on the ground for the longest time. And of course, we understand that we also carry the burden of being a governing party, which is why we've got to do extra hard and work extra more than any other ordinary party that can sit on this platform and tell you about what it is that they will do to fix South Africa. So yes, we are going to be angling for a strong and a spirited election campaign, but we have not been the ANC that has been quiet for the past 5 years. I doubt that evidence will, point to the contrary.
We will continue our conversation with the ANC spokesperson, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri, talking to us really about the ANC 2019 election manifesto review campaign that is scheduled to start next month. And let's touch on when you review then the manifesto. Let's talk about the hits and misses. Where, firstly, let's start with the failures, where as the ANC you'd say, well, here we realize that we did not live up to the promises that we made in 2019, and this is how we plan to fix that.
So I obviously do not want to sell our story beforehand.
Sure.
We're going to Orlando Stadium, where we're going to unleash and unveil our perspective on our performance on the different domains. And I just want to read them out.
Sure.
So we're going to have to account for what it is that as the ANC we've done to lead a movement for an inclusive economy for all in South Africa, an economy that works and is just for the poor. What is it that we've done to build safer communities? And where you speak about hits and misses, I'm sure all of us know that we shouldn't be living in South Africa where crime and lawlessness is at the level where it is. So I suspect that much of our accounting there is going to speak a lot about what it is that we're doing in the area of peace and stability in our country. We're also going to account for what it is that we've done in the area of social transformation. And I would say that there are lots of social hits in that space in terms of how, in the midst of poverty, in the midst of COVID, in the midst of the state of the economy and the geopolitical implications of how our economy is structured and how our economy performs, but how this ANC-led government has protected the poorest of the poor through various social protection measures, a social safety net, and many other ways in which we have tried to cushion the poorest of the poor in our country. So we'll speak about some of those achievements whilst not shying away from what you referred to as the misses. And I do agree with you that I think the culture in the ANC is not to shy away from the things that we've not been able to do. We'll also talk about what it is that we've done to build a capable and developmental government. So how we have improved the state of governance in our country and making sure that governance institutions from government, the judiciary, all the way to legislatures have helped to steer the ship of undoing the notion of a failed state, because we don't have such a thing in South Africa. Institutions are working hard and working. We can debate about the conclusions they come to, but we have very strong and working and resilient government institutions. We'll report also about what it is that we've done to build social cohesion and in an inclusive and diverse nation, what it is that the ANC has done in as far as that. And then, of course, the fight against corruption. One of the big misses.
And of course, I think that's where a lot of people want to hear what the ANC says about that.
Yes. I think there's going to be a report card on the 2nd of September. Look out for that. A report card on the things that we have done.
Whisper to me, what does it look like?
Well,
is it good or bad?
Well, I would say that I would neither good nor bad in a sense of an accurate and a very frank account of the campaign against corruption and a campaign to build ethical and integrity management in the civil service in particular, to set the tone and set the right standard we will be able to provide.
Because that's one of the things that President Cyril Ramaphosa, when he came, through
office,
he was very strong about, but the Parliament did not help his case. I mean, whichever way you look at it, whether what the courts are saying, what everything's saying, from an ordinary person's perspective, it's like, well,
sure.
This doesn't look on his report card, and many other members, as you say, unfortunately, because of time, we can't look into it. So it would be very imperative to hear what the ANC and how strong you are in terms of dealing with it.
Pala alone as a specific matter, important as it is in the life of our nation,
sure,
cannot undo the work that the ANC-led government has done in the fight against corruption. People are being prosecuted. People some of them have even fled the country, including those that have fleeced ESCOM, those that have fleeced some of the state-owned enterprises. They are being chased by law enforcement. Surely, all of those things cumulatively, when the ANC performance record in the fight against corruption in the past 5 years is presented, I suspect South Africans will come to a particular conclusion about our commitment to the fight against corruption.
One of the key things that I know that you're saying that this is not necessarily looking into elections 2024, but how important is this report card, if I can call it that, leading into that election? And what can an ordinary South African expect from that will, I guess, encourage them going into 2024 as far as the ruling party is concerned?
Well, the ruling party, the ANC is a governing party. We call ourselves more less than a ruling party, but a governing party. We are going to be fighting this election spiritedly, guns blazing, with humility, and atoning for where we have erred as the governing party. But we do have a strong narrative to sell, because we've been the only party that has actually been tested by the people of South Africa. Many people have got narratives about how they can lead this country. But we've had to deal with what's been inherited, and we can show for how a woman somewhere in Mutu, where I was born, who never had access to a tap of water in the household, who never had access to electricity, who never had access to bandwidth, can speak about a democracy from that felt perspective. And any other person that comes to compete or contest with the ANC in the next election will have to demonstrate how they can be able to cover electricity for people who never had access to electricity in the various rural areas of this country. And I think there are many of those things that we're going to be able to show in our message. And I say this, that the most important thing for the ANC is that we go to our people with humility. We don't go to our people with an idea that we've solved our problems, because we have not solved all of their problems. But we know
so you admit that there were mistakes and flaws that needs to be fixed.
There's never been a time in the ANC where there's lack of admission of areas where we have not done as well as we wanted to. So we will unveil all of those things on the 2nd of September.
We're out of time, but quickly just tell me about that. You said 2nd of September, and then you will be rolling out
Orlando Stadium. After that, we then go to provinces. The first 4 provinces, we can provide you with all of that information. Our structures are well oiled. Remember, we have a very strong machinery on the ground, is the African National Congress. So we're going to be going to our people to talk to them and listen to them and hear from them. And that will inform the manifesto that we then present in the beginning of the year.
I think we are out of time, but thank you so much for coming through to talk to us. We'll be watching closely what happens on the 2nd of September. That is ANC spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri just talking to us about the plans for the 2nd of September, where the ANC will be looking back at exactly the promises that they have made since 2019, and just promising the people as to where they can fix, but also celebrating their successes.